All right, hear me out. Sean Strickland versus Dricus Du Plessis just took place in the main event of UFC 297, and it went to a razor close split decision that was given to Dricus Du Plessis, crowning him the new middleweight champion of the world. And I'm going to talk about this in a very unbiased way. Now, I know it may seem like I'm not going to be unbiased here based on what you see on the screen. And it's very annoying to me that I'm trying to make this argument about how unbiased I'm being whilst in a dashiki with a Zulu necklace, a South African bucket hat, a Springboks beanie, a South African flag in the background, and a fucking totem wood carving statue in the bottom left corner. I've lost my Zulu staff. It won't balance throughout this video. It's annoying that I'm trying to plead with you guys that I'm the unbiased one here whilst in this current situation. Okay? But that was an extremely close fight. An extremely close fight. And I'll be honest with you guys, I need to watch back rounds 2 and 3 very closely to decide who should have won this fight. So I'm going to wait to do that before I give any concrete answers over who I thought should have won. I'm just going to keep it real with you guys. It was a very close fight, and anyone saying that Sean Strickland got brutally robbed is an absolute shame to the fan base of this sport. They're an embarrassment. There is no way you thought Sean Strickland won that fight so clearly that you can start screaming robbery. You're allowed to think Sean Strickland won. You're allowed to think Dricus Du Plessis won. I don't know who won. I was leaning towards the idea of come round 5, this is 3-1 either way, based on round 2 or 3 being swing rounds. Dricus Du Plessis clearly won round 4. Sean Strickland won round 1. And I think he won round 5 as well. Even though Dricus was the one pushing forward towards the end, I think Strickland did the cleaner work at the start of round 5. And I gave him rounds 1 and 5 very clearly. And I gave Dricus round 4 very clearly. There's no denying that, I don't think, with anyone. If you truly believe that round 2 or 3 was so clearly Sean Strickland, you're biased. Simple as that. And it's so annoying that I'm having to tell you this in the outfit I'm currently in. Okay? You cannot strongly claim that Sean Strickland clearly won rounds 2 or 3. It was an extremely close fight. Let's get over the fact, and we're going to talk about the decision towards the end of it and go through this round by round. Round 1, I'll be honest, I'm worried for my Dricus Du Plessis pick, because I picked him to win via round 1 or 2 TKO. And I think that might have played a factor, because a lot of people thought that if Dricus won, it would have been in the first 2 rounds by finish, and if Strickland won, it would have been by decision or in the later rounds by TKO. Because Dricus didn't get off to a great start in round 1, I think a lot of people went into round 2, 3, 4, and 5 under the idea that because we're even in these rounds, Dricus is naturally losing. Hear me out. Okay? Round 1. First of all, it was a great fight. Very sloppy looking fight. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Very sloppy looking fight, but I think that's just because the two of them have such weird styles that they either make themselves look sloppy or their opponent look sloppy. And this was like a perfect storm of these two clashing against each other and just having this weird, goofy, unorthodox striking fest against each other for 5 rounds. Round 1. Strickland won the first round. His jab was working very well. His teep to the body was working very well. And I'll be honest, I started to think, oh my God, Strickland's probably going to win this. He's won round 1. He's landing that jab at will. He's starting to swell up Dricus Du Plessis' eyeball on the right-hand side. What am I wearing? He's trying to swell up the eyeball of Dricus Du Plessis on the right-hand side. And it's starting to bother Dricus a little bit, his eye, because he keeps getting hit by that jab. And I thought, this isn't going to go well for Dricus. Strickland's landing his jab. Dricus was landing body kicks here and there and some low kicks here and there as well. Got a takedown at the end of the first round, which I thought was a very smart move because even though he didn't do anything with it, it was like, okay, he's put the idea in Strickland's head that he will go for a takedown at some point in this fight, and that's what I think he needed to do. And that's what I think did change the tide after leaving the first round, because Strickland went from thinking this was a striking matchup to all of a sudden, hold on, I got to worry about a takedown that could come at any moment. And Dricus kept shooting those takedowns throughout the fight as well. Now, round 2. The stats were, and I'm going to read you this. First of all, by the way, the stats in round 1 were massively in favor of Sean Strickland. So people that are being annoying on Twitter and online are just reading the stats as a whole as if that dictates the entire fight and saying, well, Strickland landed way more, he should have won. Now, you're being who you hated for so long, first of all, Strickland fans that are doing that. Round 1, Strickland landed 34 to 18 on Dricus Du Plessis. He clearly won round 1. There's no debate in that whatsoever. He massively outlanded Dricus and set himself up with a massive lead going into round 2. I think they had him like doubling Dricus on the actual numbers. I think it was like 30 to 15 going into round 2. Round 2, the official numbers were 22 to Strickland and 26 to Dricus Du Plessis. Now, hear me out. I know I'm going to get hatred for this because some reason people think I'm being biased here. I'm not being biased in who I think won this fight. I don't know who won. I need to rewatch very closely rounds 2 and 3 to decide. I'm sure the Weasel's going to do a breakdown on it as well. Strickland was landing his jab and his teep. They are really good weapons. All I'm going to say is this. In round 3, it was 31 to 29, Strickland Du Plessis. In round 4, it was 33 to 29. It was 31 to 29 in round 3 to Strickland, and it was 33 to 29 in round 4 to Strickland as well. All I'm going to say is this. First of all, round 4 is Dricus. Sliced him open with an elbow over the eye. Had blood gushing out of his face because of that. Got takedowns in that round. Good takedowns as well with a bit more control time. Landed really big shots in that round. There's no denying. I think everyone agrees Dricus won round 4. Round 2 and 3. They are very close rounds, you know. They're extremely close rounds. Very, very close rounds. And at the end of the day, Strickland's throwing jabs, and although they might be doing more damage overall, and that's the argument that we're now going to have when we go back and rewatch these rounds, Dricus is throwing body kicks, head kicks that are connecting with the toes and the foot, hard low kicks, big overhands. They're not catching Strickland clean, but they're both not popping each other's head back and rocking each other all over the place in those rounds. All I'm saying is this. The judges, when they watch round 2 and 3 live, are going to think to themselves, this was a close round. Strickland maybe landed more, but Dricus is landing hard body kicks off his rear leg. Hard body kicks. Low kicks. Some head kicks are connecting as well. And if Dricus lands, they're big hooks. And if Strickland lands, it's a jab or a teep. And he started to teep way less and less as the rounds went on because Dricus started pushing forward way more. And he couldn't teep safely anymore on one leg whilst being pressured backwards. So the judges are going to see a guy throwing power shots compared to a guy throwing single jabs. Strickland's jab is very effective. I agree. But the rounds were so close. To call this like a, wow, they really rigged it so Strickland would lose. Dana's come out and say he thought Strickland won. There's nothing wrong with thinking Strickland won. To say this was a robbery is actually crazy. It's crazy. It was a very close fight. It could have been a wrong decision when we go back and watch it. But half the people saying robbery probably don't even remember what happened in round 2 or 3. They probably don't even know a single shot that landed out of the two of them. They can maybe remember a takedown of Du Plessis because it stands out on its own within a fight. But most of these people screaming robbery, they aren't even giving rounds that they think Strickland won. They're just saying he landed more. What rounds did he win? Some people are saying he won based on rounds 1, 3, and 5. Some people are saying 1, 2, and 5. The fact that anyone is disagreeing on why Strickland should win on rounds is proof that this is a very close fight. And I'm not saying Dricus won. I don't know. It was a very close fight. Dricus landed the more powerful looking shots. Strickland was more effective with his shots in terms of well, no, he wasn't in terms of accuracy. Strickland was missing more than Dricus in round 2, slightly less than Dricus in round 3, but missed more than Dricus in round 4. So never mind, actually. But still, his jab looks good. You know what I mean? He was landing the shots that looked like, yeah, that's a nice jab from Strickland. But it was a very close fight. DDP was throwing hard low kicks, hard body kicks that he kept landing as well. Body shots in round 2. I remember there was a moment where he went bam, bam with 2 big body shots in round 2. They stuck out as a moment. And at the end of the rounds, he was getting takedowns. And the judges are going to say, if we don't know who won this round on damage because it's very close and it's very even in numbers, which it was in rounds 2, 3, and 4, they're going to say, okay, next criteria down. Who's bleeding right now because of a cut that's been opened up in this round? Strickland had a cut opened up on his one eye on round 2, and in round 4, he had a cut opened up really nastily on the inside of his eye near to his nose. So they're going to think, okay, who was pushing forward the whole time? It was Dricus Du Plessis. Who was getting takedowns? It was Dricus. Strickland could have actually won this one. In fact, if I had to give it to anyone, I'd be leaning Strickland. I'm going to be honest. It's taken me a long time to say that in this video. But like, if I had to give it to anyone, you know, he's the champion. My mindset after the first round was, oh, this isn't good for Dricus. Any round past round 1 or 2 is going to be in Strickland's favor. So I entered those rounds under the mindset of, this is good for Strickland to even be in these rounds, and he's making it close. You know what I mean? If I had to lean any way, I probably would lean that way. But you can't say robbery, and I'm going to have to go back and rewatch it. Body kicks that Dricus was landing on him were big, heavy body kicks. The shots he was landing were big shots that he was landing on Strickland. He was backing him up. Strickland's face is covered in blood. I know Dricus' eye is swollen up. Really bad looking damage as well, so it goes both ways with that. But Dricus, when he lands on Strickland, there's blood splattering off of Strickland's face. Dricus is meeting a lot of shots with his forehead. A lot of Strickland's jabs are hitting his guard. I hate this because I'm going to be called a shill. This is the end of Guru. He's being biased. I promise you, I'm not being biased here. It was very, very close. And I literally said, round 5, this is 2-2 or 3-1 either way. Very, very close fight. Round 5 comes around. Strickland does well. Dricus does very well at the end of round 5. They both do well at the end of round 5. But Strickland pushes at the end of round 5, or at the start of round 5, and really gets off to a good start with his jab. So round 5 is clear Strickland. But these Strickland fans, some of the comments I'm seeing, I'm losing respect for him. I'm a Strickland fan, a huge fan of Sean Strickland. This is all a joke. I'm supporting Dricus Du Plessis, but it's like it amps up the stream. Everyone's invested. You know what I mean? I had 14,000 live viewers. I'm dressed up in the South African attire. Can't wait to see what happens in the main event. Let's see how Guru reacts to this, because he's got a connection with Dricus and he's wearing full South African outfit with the Springboks being here, the bucket hat, the totem, the South African flag. This is the stream I'm going to want to tune into when I find out what happens in the main event. I'm not being biased in who I think won. I was cheering for Dricus winning because he was cool to me in South Africa. He was. Super cool guys in South Africa. Really cool. They treat me very well over there. They're really nice dudes, and I met them in person. So I'm cheering for them, okay? And there was a part of me that just wanted Dricus to win. But I'm not being biased here. I don't know who won. It comes down to round 2 or 3. It's very close. And when it's very close, and you can say, oh, Strickland landed 2 extra jabs that round. One guy cut one open and got takedowns. You can't say that's a brutal robbery. I love calling out robberies. I love it. I really do love calling out robberies. But there's certain fights where you just shut up. Just shut up. It's so annoying. You don't even know what rounds you think Strickland won. Very close. You're allowed to think Strickland should have won. He could have won round 2 or 3. That's what it comes down to. But it's very close. And that's the argument I'm going to make in today's video. Great fight. Both of them did look a little bit sloppy, but it was because they're clashing of really weird styles made for a really weird style fight. And then they were both actually kind of tired. I know the perception was that Dricus was the one that was going to gas out after round 1 or 2. But actually in round 1 and 2, Strickland had the advantage. And in round 3 and 4, Dricus got the momentum shift of cardio and Strickland started to slow down. He wasn't pushing forwards at all. He was backing up the whole time. He wasn't putting any power behind his counters. He was just sticking a jab out there. And Dricus Du Plessis, round 5, the momentum shifts a little bit again. Strickland starts coming on strong, and then Dricus comes on strong at the end, but didn't really do much with it. Both guys landing good shots, but Strickland doing a lot of great work at the start of the 5th round. This wasn't a robbery, is my argument. Sick fight, and you're ruining it. It was a sick fight. 5 rounds of action. Both guys landed shots. Strickland threw 408 strikes over 5 rounds. Du Plessis threw 354. Strickland's were jabs and twos and teeps. Dricus's were heavy body kicks, low kicks, head kicks, spinning back kicks that he was going for as well, spinning back fists that he was going for. You stop ruining it by screaming robbery at the end of some of these. You're ruining the vibe. You know what I mean? It was a great fight, a great scrap, and you know what I'm going to say at the end of this? I'd love a rematch. I'm not normally one that says a guy who hasn't defended his belt should get an immediate rematch. But this was an extremely competitive fight, a split decision, and as far as I'm concerned, Israel Adesanya has not earned a title shot, Khamzat Chimaev has earned a title shot, and you just can't give one to Jared Cannonier at this point. Which means there's no one really next in line for a belt yet until another matchup happens between contenders, in my opinion. So I'm A-okay with running this one back. If that's what they want to do, very, very close, very controversial. If anyone had to win, it was very close. The swelling don't look good on Du Plessis, is all I'm going to say. It don't look good, but then Strickland's face, it's a very close fight, man. I hate that I'm now under pressure. Like, I wish it would have just been a finish so I could have just reacted in any way with absolute certainty. But you can't scream robbery about this, man. You just can't. Strickland was jabbing on the back foot, barely any power shots. Occasionally a 2 would land around the guard with his forearm. But he was jabbing on the back foot, not planting his feet. He stopped teeping after round 1 and 2 because he was being pushed back. Strickland fans, he did not, even if you think he won, you have to admit with me here, he did not win clear enough to say that this is a brutal robbery. He might have edged out a round by landing a jab or 2 more or 3 more. It's a very close fight. An extremely close fight. Looking forward to seeing what's next. When it comes to matchups moving forward, I think Strickland's still a top contender, in the middleweight division. I think he'll do very well numbers-wise, and I think he'll do very well against other top contenders. I also think Dricus, if he stands with Adesanya, if Adesanya comes back in form, there's a lot of openings there for Adesanya, but the difference is with Dricus and Adesanya, if Dricus can get down Strickland that many times, 11 takedowns he went for, he got 6 of them. And he got them well. And some of the takedowns that he really got good takedowns on the inside with trips and sweeps. Double legs at range as well. Picking up Strickland, dunking him down. Strickland is extremely difficult to get takedowns on. Extremely difficult to get takedowns on. And Du Plessis was getting them. If he can get him on Strickland, I think he can get him on Adesanya. And I think he beats Adesanya because of that. But he has to fight with that mentality of, I'm going to go out in there and get takedowns. But this was a very close war between two top-level fighters scrapping against each other the entire time. Both a mess. Dricus' eye is swollen up shut. Sean Strickland is bloody mess. Cut over his other eye. Cut on the inside here from an elbow from Du Plessis in round 4. Well, you got to ruin it, man, with a robbery talk. Sick fight. Amazing fight. Very close. Gonna need the Weasels breakdown, and then watching the Weasels breakdown and watching the fight myself. That's what it's going to come down to. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. It's sad for Strickland, though, because he was on the cusp of absolute superstardom if he won this one. The way he was trending and the way people are even reacting now for a fight that was that close, calling it a robbery, shows you how much of a star he would have become. Because fighters only rally around a robbery like this when they love the fighter that's fighting. You know what I mean? If they didn't care, they would just be like, close fight, could have gone either way. If they didn't care about Sean Strickland. But they love Sean Strickland. People love him. On the cusp of superstardom. It sucks. He's still going to be a star. He's still going to be in the mix in the top of the division. He still did what he did to Israel Adesanya, like walking him down and piecing him up for 5 rounds. Dricus Du Plessis, you've opened up a whole new market in the UFC now. In Africa, they're going to want to go to Africa. Dana White said he wants to go to South Africa at some point in 2024. The PFL is looking to go to Africa, and you know Dana White's looking to one-up them. So I can see Dricus versus Adesanya happening. As much as Adesanya don't deserve it at all, I can see Dricus Adesanya happening in Africa in 2024. And for Sean Strickland, I guess it's next up-and-coming contender. We'll see what happens. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle Pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye. I can't believe some of the things I'm seeing online about how clear it was for Strickland. Very close fight, very competitive. Gonna need to go through it and watch it back with a very fine comb. See you later. Goodbye.